I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery, and today I want to talk about the one of the benefits of quitting drinking, and that's to stop being a burden on your community. This all came about because really I was talking to a guy the other day, and it just got me thinking. We went out with a few of our friends for a meal, and there was a lot of people at the table. Some of them I did know and some of them I didn't know, and the conversation sort of, as the night wore on, got around to people wasting money. Basically people wasting taxpayers' money for the most part. And eventually they started talking about the NHS, and which is the National Health Service in the UK. Now, what really annoyed me about the whole thing was they started going on about, this one guy in particular was talking about how much money was being wasted on druggies. And what he meant by druggies was people who were taking heroin, and he said, that they should be basically thrown out in their arse onto the road with no help or treatment at all. So what he was basically talking about, he was basically going on about people who were in hospital because of their own stupidity, because they caused themselves to be in hospital. And I was talking to the guy's wife later on in the day, later on in the evening, and she was telling me that he was only after overcoming a triple bypass, and it wasn't successful. His arteries were that clogged up, and the fucker was sat there with the biggest pile of fried food on his plate that you've seen in a long time, And surely his doctors were saying, look, all this stuff that you're causing to yourself, it's and he's got the cheek to sit there and start going on about so-called druggies. And of course, everyone around me was drinking, and one of the women, turned around to me and said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "Well, I run a website to help people with alcohol problems." And straight away was, "Oh, is that why you're not drinking? You've got an alcohol problem." And I'm out with friends, and really it was like, I just had to say, well, I used to, that was it, and end of subject. But it's a typical thing. People sort of think about self-harm. When they think about self-harmers, they think about druggies, for instance, who are taking heroin, or they think about teenagers who are cutting themselves and all that kind of stuff. When you think about it, when you think about how many people are actually in hospital today because of diseases or conditions that they've caused for themselves. There's an American Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, and on their website it says that if people ate right, cut back on the amount of crap they were eating, if they got off their arses and exercised, and if they stopped smoking, that it would cut up to 80% of all preventable diseases and conditions. 80%. I couldn't believe that when I read it, so, but it makes sense, One of my biggest gripes is with children's hospitals. No matter where I've been in the world, in the UK, Ireland, over here, you always find people looking for donations for children's hospitals. And it's like, what the hell is going on, You'd think that they would be the best funded hospitals around. I mean, I know that's a different story. But it's one where they haven't got any money themselves and they've got no vote, so they've really got no say. And yet you've got 80% of people who are in hospital with preventable conditions like this, and for me it just hit home that we were, as drinkers, and I'm I hold my hand up. I not only was I a bad drinker, I smoked, I took acid on occasion, I smoked marijuana, I ate crap food. I lived my life basically like it was somebody else's problem, and I'm thankful that I'm sort of out of that now. But I think that's one of the big benefits for anybody, is to sort of see that they're not being a burden unnecessarily on their own community. So for what it's worth anyway. If you have any questions about that at all, then go over to the website, leave a message on YouTube. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, go over to the website and do that. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery. Onwards and upwards.